Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a great day. I did a just random collage with some old magazine pages in my art journal, and I also found this wonderful picture of a flower basket slash bouquet in the magazine too. So I tore off a piece, and I think I'm going to make this my focal point, maybe coming out of the side with a couple other pieces. But I'm going to first get some paint on this paper and we're going to have some fun. So I'm going to grab some craft paints today. I'm going to grab a yellow, and I'm not really sure what colors I definitely want to use yet, but I'm just going to put some interesting ones on here. I'm definitely going to get primaries and white. So we'll put some of that. I think I'll go with this red. All right, I got my red, yellow, and blue. I think I'm going to do this brown. And then I'm going to add for my white some of this gesso. So I've got a pretty good range of values here. And let's get started with some paint, shall we? I'm just going to move this to the side a little bit so I can put my mixing plate next to me. And that way you can see everything I'm doing. So I've got a glass of water right off to the side there and some paper towels here for blotting. And I'm going to start with the gesso. And I'm just going to pick some areas to kind of brighten up my paint, or my collage rather. And I'm going to kind of follow around some of this, maybe paint over some of this collage and get a light coat on, but I'm going to make it heavier in some areas and really solidify that white color. But I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing over some other spots so you can still see plenty of texture coming through, like this. And I'm just kind of varying my brush strokes a bit, but I'm going to get pretty much good coverage. Now I'm going to grab my baby wipe and blot some of this back, and that leaves a really neat texture on the page too, which I really like. And it pulls up some of the paint, but not a ton. And you can still, and if you wanted to pull back more, you could rub it a bit like that and blot over it again. But I like that. And then I'm not even going to clean my brush. I'm going to dip into, let's see, let's do some of this blue, some of this yellow, and a little bit of brown on the corner of my brush and see what we get. Now I'm working with craft paint, so it's going to be a little bit harder to mix the yellow, but that's a pretty good green, I think. So I am going to come in here and just go, I'm following along randomly with some of these collage edges. And I'm also going to come in from the edges of my paper. I'm going to come into my water and get a good amount of water on my brush and keep it kind of damp. And I'm going to bring this out and get it blended so that there's just a nice blendy look on the page. And I'm just kind of going in with my brush and keep going in with some more blending. And I'm just kind of toning down some of those hard edges, and I want to get just some nice shading on my paper. And I'm going to go back in with my paper towel, or my baby wipe rather, and blot some of that back. So I'm adding texture more than a ton of color. And since I'm working over gesso, it's going to be a lot easier to work with. All right, I'm going to grab my filbert brush. I always seem to go for the filbert because it's just nicer to get in some of those nooks and crannies. And I'm going to go back in with another little coat and just really kind of drag that out from some of these edges. And I love this color of green. So I'm just dipping it in water and letting that go on the page. Just like that. And I might go into some of this yellow and just put it into a few little strategic places. Now this yellow is really strong and it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I'm definitely going to be knocking this back a little bit. Or seeing how it blends with this green on my page. Because I want to get the brightness in here, but sometimes it's a little too bright. So I'm going to do that here and just do some light dabbing like that. I'm going to put some more yellow over here and just sort of dry brush it out a bit. I'm not going to worry too much about this area because I think that's where I'm going to put my flowers. Now I'm going to look in my color. So I've got some of that blue and it's sort of nice, and I've got browns in here, and I've got I've got this bit of pink, and I might try to replicate that a little bit, and I'm going to make it very light, and I'm just going to add a little tiny touch of the brown, maybe a little more. I'm just going to add a little at a time because it's easy to add, but you can't really take it away. And add some more white. And I might even pull in some of this green that's over here too, just whatever's kind of left over on the plate, and make just a really nice kind of muted pink. And lighten that up even more and add a little more brown. And I really like that color there. That's pretty. Add a little more white. Yeah, I think that's the ticket. All right, let's go in here and add some more color. And I'm just going to get just free with this color on the page. I love it, and I think that's what I would like the main color to be here. And so I'm just going to keep going into this area here where we're planning on putting our collage. And then I'm going to give my brush a bit of a rinse. And again, I'm just going to kind of drag it around the outside and get this nice and blended. Almost like you would do dragging with watercolor. I'm just blotting it after I rinse my brush and just kind of going around the outside and softening some of that line. Beautiful. Now I want to add a little bit of texture here, so I'm going to go back to my flat brush and that plain brown, and I'm just going to add maybe some lines if it sticks. I might have a little bit too much wetness on my paper, but actually that's okay because I can blot all this back. Maybe add a few here. Just like that. And I'm going to have that picture coming out, but maybe this can kind of go down along the side of it like that. Now I'm going to grab a baby wipe again and just go over this lightly, doing some blotting. And I'm going to try not to go over the same things, but if I do, it'll just add some extra texture, which we're fine with, right? All right, so I've got kind of a dark spot there. I'm just going to add a little bit more pink, tone that down just a bit, and maybe add a little bit more coming up this way. And I really want to do lots of good layering on this, and I might actually even go in and do some more of another green. I'm just kind of going in again and getting this nice and blended. And I don't care if there's a little bit of pink mixed in, and actually that makes a really beautiful kind of grayish green color. So I'm going to come in here next to my pink and do some more blending, and even let it go into some of that brown and mix right up. We get this gorgeous floral colored look, but it's not too busy, which is good. But we have a really wonderful blend of color here, and I'm just blotting often, letting it go on the page, and come back in here with a few of those marks, and I'll do the same down here. Right. Okay, I'm going to add some more white. We're still pretty wet, but I'm going to add some more contrast back in here, some more white. And I'm going to kind of focus a little bit around where we're going to have our collage, and I'm letting it blend with some spots. And I'm just going to make sure that we get enough brightness in here. Just like that. And I'll dip into a little bit of that pure red and just kind of go in to some more of this. And just let it kind of swirl around a bit in a few spots with my brush. Almost like marble. And go back into my white. And I'm being pretty liberal with my paint. I'm just being pretty free with it and just making a fun mess. But I love this sort of marbled look. It's a lot of fun. And maybe where we have some of these natural edges, I might see what it looks like to go in with a little bit of brown in here. And I kind of like that so far. In just a few, we'll try it in a few places and just see about building it up a bit. And add some of those dark values in here. Make it nice and swirly. And I'm just kind of spinning my brush as I go, so it doesn't have the same sort of stroke, you know, as if I was going to do it just straight across all the time. Nice. I'm just kind of dipping into a few colors here and really emphasizing that marbled look. Get some of that brighter pink. And let it pop out of a few little places. Maybe we go in with just a hint of yellow. And I'm almost like barely touching the page and just letting it kind of pop up in a couple of spots. Almost like an afterthought. I really like this. It's kind of by accident, but I dig it. And the yellow's not overpowering like this too, but it adds just a little bit of that brightness. Let's see how our piece looks. I think I'm going to really like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint some gesso on this, because gesso can also be used as a glue to put down your collage pieces. And the rest of my paper is pretty wet. So I think this will probably do really nicely. I'm just going to make sure I've got enough paint on there. And I'm just going to line it right up with the edge of my book and press that right in there like that. Yeah. Now I'm going to get some matte medium because I'm not really ready to add anything around the edges yet, but I do want to kind of seal that in where I can. And I'm going to dip into this matte medium and go over the top and seal it. And I'm going to go around these edges, but I'm not going to get a bunch of paint around the edges yet. I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do with the surface. Now, I've also got this little flower here that I thought would be kind of neat to add to this. So I think I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to kind of paint my medium on the back of this. And put this on here, maybe right there, like that. I like that. And then again, I'm just going to seal the top and make sure my edges are down. I'm going to kind of press into it with my brush and go over it. Now, because I'm doing this with my brush and my pages are very wet, this will ripple a little bit, but I'm working in my journal, so I don't really care. It's just having fun. And I might even add this little piece here. All right. And maybe we put that right here. Okay, I've got my seal in. I'm going to add some white around my edges. Maybe some of this pink. Almost like I'm kind of tucking it in. And I'm just going to kind of copy some of the strokes that I've got going on and just make sure it all kind of blends in together. I'm going to take back some of that pink. And let this go around the outside. And maybe I'll go back in with some white here. Okay, I let most of this dry. There's still some wet kind of blobs, but we're going to go ahead and move on. So I am kind of looking at this and it's kind of a mess right here. And I'm not sure if I like this little leaf thing, but let's kind of just go with it for now. And I'm going to add some more white around the edge of these spots so that I can add some more contrast around the edge and take away some of that detail a bit that is surrounding these. And I might let it kind of blend away softly to the edge of the paper and take out a little bit of these sort of overpowering brush strokes. And I'm just going to kind of be gentle and slowly build on my color. And I'm just going to, I'm picking up a little bit of that sort of wet paint with my brush, and I'm just going to kind of leave it on there and dab at it a bit. I really loved those sort of marbled effects, and I'd like to bring some of those back. But I do also want to quiet down the area right around my collage pieces. And I think that looks pretty nice. I'm going to add some more white down here. And just let it come across the bottom here and soften that edge. Same thing up here in the corner. All right, now I'm going to come back in with some of this red and just sort of do it with my brush and get those swirlies back that I love so much. But I'm going to kind of put it in some of these spots where it's almost strategic, where I'm kind of letting it come forward and sort of give you a window to the background, if that makes sense. So I might use some around here and just kind of let that come through and let it come down around this side. And I'm still going to kind of spin my brush a bit, let some of this heavier color go in there, and make some of those sort of marbled swirls. And then I'm going to come back into this sort of pinky color where I have it, and I'm going to come into the inside of the darker pink and just let that kind of blend out. And I'm going to keep this brown, but just darken it a bit and maybe add some up here. Maybe I'll add it right around here, like that. And how about some over this way? Yeah. And I'm going to blend together another green, add a little bit of that brown to darken it and tone a bit. And I'm going to come in here with just a little bit so that we have some of that green down here. But we also have it in these areas too. But I'm going to just get that same color in there. And then I'm going to come back into this white gesso and add some more up into this corner. And just let that kind of blend right in there. I like the richness of some of this color. And I'm going to just kind of have this branch out a bit here. I think that will look pretty nice. And come in for some richer color here. And just kind of build up this color a bit. Like that. Okay, I have to say, the more I look at this, I don't like it. So I broke out my gesso and I'm going to cover this up with a pretty thick layer and then let this kind of blend out just like that. And I've got this pink here. I'm going to come in and do some more of those marks. And just let this kind of come through and add some texture there. And I'm going to let the gesso kind of come in from the top here. Just like that. And we'll have that flower coming out of there. And then maybe there's another flower we can kind of scare up from this bundle. Got some of these. Actually, I like this. What does this look like? I think I like that. Okay, let's go with it. I've still got a little bit of this matte medium left. Plus, I have a bunch of wet paint on my page. So let's embrace this. And I'm just going to press it right on in there. How about that? I think that looks pretty good. It's hard when you're dealing with magazine paper because it all wants to curl up because it's so thin. Okay. I'm just going to make sure this is stuck down, sealed in a bit, and let's get a little bit of gesso around it. And I'm going to mix up just a little bit more of that green again. Add some white and come right on through here. I like that. Okay, I'm going to take out my protective paper. This has had a little bit of time to dry, so I'm going to give you the good close-up so you can see all the brush strokes and layers and color and collage pieces that ended up on this sheet. And I really, really enjoyed how this turned out. It's so different, but there's just a lot going on and I'm digging it. So I hope you enjoy doing this with me. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but I really enjoyed doing this journal page with you today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more like this. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep creating. Bye.